In 2005, Ma Jae-yoon, known then as IPX Zerg and who would be known eventually as sAviOr, started his rise to dominance in winning the 2005 Uzu MSL against Reach. And then basically he became one of the most dominant players of 2006. He came in second to Choja in the Scion MSL, won another MSL in the first Pringles MSL against Nalra, what became known eventually as the Holy Wars, his battles with Nalra, which are absolutely epic. And then again winning a third MSL against Silver in the finals, in the second Pringles MSL. And that was after beating Nalra again in the semifinals. So all that was really left for sAviOr at that point to really establish his dominance was to win all the Star Leagues. And here we see him finally winning an OSL. There's GG from Nada, the great legendary Nada. He beat him in the third Shinhan Bank OSL to take his first OSL finals, and really was very, very close to sealing the deal of himself as the dominant player, you know, putting himself alongside the names of Uvi and Boxer and players who just could not be beaten for a period of time. When along came a kind of new to the scene Protoss player named BeSt, and no one really, well, some people probably did expect him to fare well against sAviOr, but sAviOr's best matchup, one that he was pretty famed for, was his Zerg versus Protoss, and I don't think people expected him to be completely dominated as he was by BeSt. sAviOr's style was to just take a few bases really quick and then macro up forces before the Protoss could get anything out, and BeSt just shut it down. His strategies completely countered sAviOr's strategy, and basically just a lot of harassment with Dark Templars, Corsairs to keep the Overlords away, and just completely destroyed sAviOr. And here we see the third game. BeSt ended up being sAviOr 0-3. BeSt had 3 versus sAviOr having 0 wins in that series, and just completely destroyed sAviOr. sAviOr came out of nowhere and destroyed the dominant player of the time. Now, a lot of people think that that was the beginning of the end for sAviOr, and in a lot of ways it was. Now, I want to give him some credit that he did play pretty well. He didn't just completely drop off the scene there. He was still a dominant player for a while, despite the fact that he took a huge blow to his confidence by losing to BeSt in that the first GOM TV MSL. But you know, he wasn't out yet. I mean, he didn't just stop being good, and he even a short time later managed to come in second, losing to Nada this time in the Shinhan Bank OGN Masters finals, which was kind of like a smaller version of the OSL, I guess you could say. And you know, was still playing pretty well and had a chance to come back in the next MSL and seemed to be doing pretty well until he came up against a Terran that we all know and love, known as Firebat Hero. And they had an epic series, a best of 5, in the second GOM TV MSL in the quarterfinals. And we're going to watch the end of that game here. And it was crazy. First, there was an hour-long game on Game 1 on Python, which ended up in one of the few times we've ever seen battlecruisers used against Zerg in the late game, well, in a pro game rather, and some epic restorations by Firebat Hero to save his battlecruisers from plague before they got eaten by the last dozen of sAviOr's Hydralisks, and sAviOr ended up losing that first game. And then, you know, they traded games off, and it came down to Game 5 when Firebat Hero, again on Python, did a double proxy barracks. He put 2 barracks in the bottom right-hand corner outside of sAviOr's base, and sAviOr did not scout it and had no idea it was coming. He was prepared for a longer game, prepared for Firebat Hero to be going into an extra command center or something like that, and all of a sudden all these Marines came barreling down on him, and Firebats as well, and just basically destroyed sAviOr. And I think the problem, the thing that I think hurt sAviOr the most, not just losing the game, was what happened after the game. Firebat Hero is, of course, very famous for his ceremonies, And basically kind of the first one that made him famous for his ceremonies was his ceremony against sAviOr after finally winning that epic best of 5 in the quarterfinals of that MSL, which we're seeing right here, dancing around sAviOr, mocking him. And I think, just this series of things, losing to BeSt, losing to Firebat Hero and being mocked, all these things took a toll on sAviOr's confidence, and I think that confidence plays a huge part in pro gaming ability, and having taken these huge losses, sAviOr just was not able to cope from then on. Now, he still was a very good player, and even though people thought of, Firebat Hero as the kind of the nail in the coffin for his playing ability, sAviOr did actually continue to do decently well in 2007. In fact, even managing to get bronze in the World Cyber Games Korea tournament, although then he went on to lose to a Chinese player, PJ, in the actual World Cyber Games, which was kind of embarrassing. But really, I think it finally all fell apart when he re-met up with BeSt. He had a chance for revenge against BeSt in the 2007 EVER OSL, and BeSt beat him. sAviOr won the first game, and everyone thought that he was going to come back and prove himself up against BeSt again, but then the next week, BeSt came back and won both the games and took the match, knocking sAviOr out of the OSL. And that was right at the end of 2007, and I think that was the final nail in the coffin, and that was the turning point, because then, throughout 2008, that's when we really started to see sAviOr not just not dominate, but also play badly. And, well, he didn't even play badly, but the magic was clearly gone, and he was clearly no longer a dominant player, even though he almost won half of his games in 2008, so he didn't play completely horribly, but a lot of his wins were against lesser players, and he was clearly no longer a contender for any top positions. In fact, at one point, he was even demoted to the B team on Team CJ for about a month before they brought him back to the A team because they thought that he was more focused. Then came BlizzCon 2008. Just previous to BlizzCon 2008, sAviOr had gotten knocked out of yet another Star League by Nada, and he had not gotten any Star Leagues in a long time, actually. But BlizzCon is invitational, so they invite people that are popular or people that are big names rather than players that actually are able to get into the tournament. So Nada was actually there, as well as for GG, the recent MSL winner, and others. And sAviOr actually said in an interview before the tournament happened that he would win it. And he did. He actually beat Nada, one of his nemesis, in the finals very soundly. And, he just was looking great the entire tournament. And then came the big moment that all the sAviOr fans were wondering if maybe he was going to be back in form, maybe he was going to be a dominant player again. And then came Tasteless's famous interview with sAviOr after he won the BlizzCon finals.
A lot of people said that you were in a slump, that you would never, manage to win a major tournament again, that you were past your time. Clearly, you proved them wrong. What is it that you did that allowed you to get over this hump of yours?
오늘 이 블리즈컨 대회를 통해서 이때까지의 분위기를 싹 반전시키도록 하겠습니다.
Okay, he was able to do this through the support of all of the fans, and he says through BlizzCon, through his victory in this tournament, he wants to turn around his career, and he wants to win a lot of more major titles.
All right, there you heard it. Very impressive play back there. My second question is going to be, there are tons of people that showed up here just to watch sAviOr play. He's a very popular player, obviously not just inside Korea, but around the world. So I want to know if he has anything he wants to say to all of his fans out there that showed up here or at home at their computers watching.
좋은 모습 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
In an interview yesterday, he said that he would win the tournament today, and so he's really happy that he was able to keep his promise, and in the future he would like to keep on winning as well. And also, I think he wanted to say something in English to the fans. So.
Hello. Thank you very much for coming today. I wouldn't be able to win without you guys. I love BlizzCon and Starcraft Pass. I will destroy everyone. again in 2009. Thank you.
Well, you heard it from the man himself. Congratulations.
That is right. You heard it from the man himself, sAviOr. He will destroy everyone in 2009, if that's okay with you. And that is the context I wanted to give everyone, bringing into this game here. This is sAviOr versus BeSt. I am Moltrap, and I am very, very excited to be bringing you to this game. This is the first game of the Year of Destruction. This is the first game sAviOr has played in 2009. Versus, of all people, BeSt. And this, if anything, is going to be a true test of sAviOr's destroying everyone abilities, because BeSt is one of the players to beat in Pro Starcraft right now. He is playing ridiculously well. He's got an OSL Silver under his belt. Played very, very well against Stork in the last OSL as well. And is on an 8-game winning streak at this point. So BeSt is, definitely a top player in StarCraft right now. So if sAviOr is able to beat BeSt, that will definitely be an indication that all the practicing that he's been doing, all of the training he's been doing to try and get back into shape will actually pay off. And so it's going to be, everyone is watching this game, and well, in order to see if sAviOr has what it takes. So, BeSt is going to be starting off in the bottom left-hand corner, by the way, in the purple Protoss, and that means that sAviOr is the orange Zerg player in the top left-hand corner of the map. And this is Colosseum, by the way. So, should make for an interesting game. It's one of the maps with 3 bases right next, with 3 bases including your spawn point. 3 easy bases to get, basically. And so it usually makes for a longer macro game, so we could be seeing something longer going on here. And we do see BeSt getting on an early scout there, scouting sAviOr early on, and is able to block that drone from getting out to the kind of outside position initially. But sAviOr's going to be able to plant down a base at his natural expansion there. And it looks like BeSt is actually going to get a Nexus very early on. He sees that there's no spawning pool in sAviOr's base, so he knows that he has some spare time. He's going to go straight for the Nexus, put it right in his natural expansion inside of his base. It's going to be very well protected. It's going to make it really easy for BeSt to get an economy going very quickly. So sAviOr's going to have to do the same. He's going to have to get another base here pretty soon, and go very, very macro, and he probably will. But if he's going to keep up in economy, he's going to have to get that base going pretty quickly. And really, sAviOr's best chance, I think, is going to be a longer macro game, because of the fact that it's going to be so easy for BeSt to close off his door. It's really easy to put a gateway there in that choke point. Some cannons. You can take the high ground very easily on the ridge if you wanted to. So it's it's going to be better for sAviOr to let BeSt take those 2 bases, maybe a third. And just macro up outside and that sort of thing. So we do see sAviOr taking that 3rd base finally and that sort of thing. But yeah, this is going to be really, really exciting to see how sAviOr can do in this game. Some of the people I mentioned, he could be meeting in 2009 as well. So this is not just the only test he's going to have. He's going to have more tests, obviously, to see if he's going to meet with his promise to destroy everyone in 2009 or not. But this is a good first indication to see what's going on. He has said in interviews, by the way, that he's been practicing a lot, and that's one of the reasons why he's kind of gotten a little bit back into shape. He's been doing pretty well. He's won, I think, something like 60% of his games since BlizzCon. So he's been definitely on an upsurge, whereas he was losing 60% of his games before BlizzCon. So definitely he's kind of getting back into shape one way or another. But basically it still remains to be seen if he's going to be in top form or not. sAviOr already going for a lair, pretty quick lair there. Well, it's kind of normal timing, but relatively quick considering that he has also gone for mostly just drones and hatcheries and what have you so far. I don't think he's even gotten any Zerglings yet to chase that probe away. He's probably going to end up getting a couple Zerglings here in a moment just to harass that probe, get it out of the way. It looks like sAviOr's probably going to end up just doing kind of a normal build, and he's going to have to get some Zerglings out now because of that Zealot coming in, and there's some Zerglings popping out just in time. They're going to be able to deal with that Zealot pretty easily once it ends up in his base. And yeah, so BeSt saw the Zerglings with his probe and decided to just hold back on the Zealot. He's going to need it more on his front door than anything. If there hadn't been any Zerglings, if sAviOr had been too macro intensive on his economy, then BeSt probably could have snuck that Zealot in there and killed off a drone or two. In fact, he still perhaps could have, but I guess he didn't want to risk it, because if you micro your drones well, then the Zealot can't really do any damage, and so it would have just basically drawn that Zealot out and gotten the Zealot killed more than anything. Looks like speed upgrade for those Zerglings for sAviOr. I'm not exactly sure what his intention was for that, other than just killing the probe. Maybe he was hoping that there'd be a gap in BeSt's door and he'd be able to run some Zerglings in and get a scout in, but he's actually going to sneak this Overlord in from the south, and he's going to be able to get a scout in on BeSt's tech. I think he probably should have waited a little bit longer on that. To actually wait for BeSt to actually get his tech up. Although he looks like he might see some building. There's some building on the left side, the top left side of BeSt's base, and it's just a pylon. Never mind. But he might be able to glimpse that robotics facility. Yeah, he is going to see that robotics facility, so he is going to know that it's going to be some kind of a Sarah Reaver build going on right here. And partly what that means is that BeSt is going to be stuck in his base for a little bit, because he's not going to be... He has to wait for those Reavers to get protection for his base. So that means sAviOr is actually going to be relatively safe to take another base if he wants to. Although BeSt is actually pressing out with a few Zealots and a Dragoon to try and do some damage here. And sAviOr only has, I think, 8 Zerglings here. So he's going to have to do something. He needs to worry about that small force a little bit. But he's going to have his Spire up, or maybe he even has it up at this point. And there he has it up! Scourge is coming in and taking out one of the Corsairs, second Corsair running for dear life as the Zerglings chase down that Dragoon after finishing off the Zealot. So sAviOr actually looking to be in a very strong position here early on. He's got those speed upgrades Zerglings, so they're going to be able to... Wow, nice micro by BeSt trying to run that Dragoon around in circles, but not going to get away. Speed Zerglings just too powerful against Dragoons, and sAviOr just putting up hatcheries just in full macro mode here is really looking to be in a strong position here. He's going to take a 4th base in the top right-hand corner of the map, and he's got air control right now because he got that Spire out pretty quickly. He did lose an Overlord or two, I think just one Overlord to the Corsairs before Scourges got up, but still, he managed to kill off the Scourge, and one Overlord isn't really a big deal, especially if you do kill off that Corsair. I mean, that's a really nice trade-off for sAviOr, so he's in really, really good position. And now making that tech switch, now that he's got the air control, with the Scourge out in the air. Oh, and he might take... Oh, if he can take out the shuttle! He takes out the shuttle! He takes out BeSt's shuttle! Oh man! And BeSt knows it. You see the look on his face. He's like, "Oh man, that was suck to lose." And he knows that he could have prevented that too if he'd run his shuttle away. But I think he figured that sAviOr wasn't going to be that ballsy by running those Scourges in. Oh my gosh, sAviOr's sending another drone out. He may be thinking of taking a 5th base in the top right-hand corner of the map. And really, at this point, after taking out that shuttle, he can afford to, because it's going to be that much longer that it's going to be until BeSt can move out. And, uh-oh, Mutalisks being produced, though, for sAviOr. He's got 3 gas going, so I'm not sure if he's planning on going for mass Mutalisks or if that's just the one. But he does know that there's going to be Reavers out, and there's a few Corsairs in the air, but with Scourges and he is going to try for it. Scourges and Mutalisks, if he can go in there, run in with the Mutalisks, and manage to distract the Corsair. Oh, the Corsairs are moving out, though. They're going to take out some of the Scourges. sAviOr needs to get those... Oh, the Corsairs! Oh, get caught on road! He's going to try and run back to his base, though. He knows he can't engage right now, especially since he's already kind of on the run, and he's going to have to fall back there. But really, BeSt is in bad shape here. If sAviOr can micro his forces right, he can run in with the Mutalisks, and then target the Scourge against the Corsair as well, and take out the Corsairs, and then BeSt will have nothing, absolutely nothing to deal with those Mutalisks. He's trying to put up cannons desperately, but he's not going to have anything. Scourge coming in, let's see if he can target the Corsairs well, but the Corsairs fall back to some cannons. sAviOr's just going to try and occupy those Scourge occupy the Corsairs with his Scourge while he takes out some probes, but the Corsairs do kill off the Scourges. Cannons backing them up as well, and those Mutalisks are going to get chased back. More Scourge are en route, though. As soon as those Scourge arrive, sAviOr's going to go back in and attack because he's going to have the Scourge to combat the Corsairs. Scourge chasing away the Corsairs while the Mutalisks take out the cannons and doing a brilliant job. sAviOr doing a brilliant job of keeping those Corsairs occupied, but in the meantime, the Corsairs are staying alive, and that is critical. He hasn't really managed, I think he maybe killed one Corsair in that last battle there with the Scourge, but he didn't manage to take out several of them. If he had, then sAviOr basically would have won the game right now. But he does have, BeSt does have his Corsair army up right now, and he does have those Reavers out as well. So that means that sAviOr's not going to be able to switch to a ground force, which could have worked pretty well right now. And the thing is those Corsairs, because he's been able to hold off the air attacks with just Corsairs. And so critically, that means that BeSt has actually been able to build up his ground force as well. Oftentimes what you'll see is the Zerg player will keep the Protoss completely off guard, making Archons and what have you with their air forces, and then they'll have so much anti-air that they won't have anything for the follow-up ground attack as they come in with Lings and Hydras. But BeSt has been able to hold off these attacks pretty well with just his Corsairs, and while he has gotten a couple Archons to combat the Mutalisks as well, he hasn't had to stop production of his ground forces. So he has a sizable force of Zealots, and he's got Reavers as well. So if there's any Hydralisks to combat as well, that's going to be a problem too. Going in with a ton of Scourge, he misses the shuttle, takes out a couple Corsairs though, and now he's going to have to run back. There's too many Corsairs for him. He's going to have to fall back. He's going to have to engage with Hydralisks as well. And this is actually looking a little bit bad for sAviOr. I think he's probably going to be able to hold this off, but BeSt is bearing down on him with a large army here. Oh, Scourge! Oh, Wonder Scourge hits the shuttle! The Mutalisk going out, the shuttle goes down, the shuttle goes down, the Reavers were inside the shuttle! No Reavers for BeSt, and that is going to be a huge, huge hit to his forces for this attack right here, and sAviOr has a ton of Hydralisks. I think they're probably going to be able to take it out. In the meantime, though, the Corsairs running around rampant, killing off Overlords everywhere. Oh man, actually the Archons may finish off these Hydralisks, but more reinforcements are going to pop out for sAviOr and probably going to be able to hold this off, maybe, but BeSt is doing a lot of damage. He's actually managed to get several Zealots inside of his base, and the Overlords just being chased every which direction. It's a good thing for sAviOr that his Overlords were spread out, otherwise they would have been completely slaughtered by those Corsairs, and then he wouldn't have been able to make any forces to stop this army. Luckily, he did have enough forces, enough Overlords in the air that he was able to produce some Hydralisks to try and hold off these Zealots, and it looks like sAviOr's barely going to be able to hold this off for now, but actually BeSt coming in here with 4 Zealots just trying to attack some drones before the Hydralisks can get in there, and he's actually had to evacuate drones from his natural expansion as well, so this is looking really, really bad for sAviOr here. It looks like he was not able to macro up enough forces here, and he wasn't able to keep BeSt occupied enough with those ground forces. BeSt basically able to spend less money on Corsairs to do more damage against all of those air units there, despite losing that shuttle, which was a huge blow. BeSt managed to do a lot of damage with just those Corsairs. And basically, if you think about the amount of Mutalisks and Scourge that those Corsairs have taken out, either with their deaths or with their attacks, it's still been very, very efficient, cost efficient for BeSt. So BeSt looking in really, really good shape here. sAviOr has managed to fight this off though, and he did save most of his drones. Even though he lost his army, he saved most of his drones during that whole ordeal. And wow, Scourge is popping out and immediately killing one of those Corsairs, so those Corsairs retreat. BeSt in the meantime is moving out to try and take his third base. So that is the one thing that sAviOr does have going for him, is that he actually has 4 bases to BeSt's 2, and wow, of course, wow, that was nice Scourge micro. 2 sets of Scourges going in and surrounding and managing to pick off one of those Corsairs, and that is critical. If sAviOr can kill off a couple more of those Corsairs, or even one more, he'll have the Corsair count down low enough that, oh, the Scourge is coming in, and they kill off all the Corsairs! All the Corsairs have been destroyed! BeSt no longer has an air force at all, and sAviOr has managed to even things back up as far as the cost of those Corsairs, and take, oh my gosh, and now a large force of Hydralisks and Lurkers moving out here. I'm not sure if BeSt has Observers yet at this point, although I'm sure he does have High Templar, and he has Storms though. to deal with this. He's going to have cannons around as well. But still, if sAviOr can move in there and take out those cannons, and get some lurkers down, even if he can't take out the cannons, those lurkers are still going to be pretty devastating against the larger army. It looks like, Scarab's going off. He has Storm as well. Storm goes off. Nice Storm on the Hydralisk. Actually, not, well, it could have been a better Storm, but he does manage to hurt the lurkers a lot. And he does have Observers, so this attack is going to fail, and unfortunately for sAviOr, he's not going to be able to even keep a containment here. He has one lurker there, but it's going to go down before too long, probably. So, BeSt is going to be able to secure this third base. sAviOr taking a fifth base in the top corner, though. So if sAviOr can keep up that macro and keep ahead of BeSt in economy, then that will be a critical point here. BeSt moving out here with a shuttle. Something is in the shuttle, but sAviOr has info links. He's got burrowed Zerglings around. He may have seen that shuttle. I don't know if he did, though, because the shuttle went right between those two Zerglings, but he may know this is coming here. Queens are out. Wow, 3 queens are out for sAviOr. We could see some queen play coming on here. I'm not sure what he's going to do with that. Maybe some Parasite, or he possibly might be researching Ensnare, which will be really, really effective against large armies, and we've seen some success with that against Terrans lately. So that could be really amazing. It could have also just been a miscue or misclick by sAviOr, trying to hit something else. Well, I guess you don't usually hit Q unless you're trying to do queens. But anyway, here's the Dark Templar that's been dropped in that base. Not going to accomplish anything. BeSt is building up a sizable little clump, though. He's got Templar, High Templar in there. Scourges are ready to stop High Templar drop, but if that shuttle is speed upgraded, it might not be able to catch up. The Scourges are chasing, but they're not quite fast enough. The Templar gets out! Beautiful micro by BeSt. He manages to get both the Templar out of that shuttle and turn it around running away from the Scourges, spotting the Hydralisks, running away from that as well, and getting the couple Storms off. So he didn't really accomplish a whole lot with that. It wasn't really a cost-effective maneuver. He only killed like 4 drones, I think. But still, beautiful play. But sAviOr has a lot of lurkers coming in here now, and he's going to set up a huge contain across the middle of the map to try and secure that top right location in the long term. But BeSt just has so many forces here, and sAviOr's forces are too spread out. In case there was a lot of High Templar or what have you, but BeSt with just too many forces on the ground, too many Dragoons and Zealots, is just absolutely destroying that containment, and that is all sAviOr had going for him, was that huge force of lurkers right now. And now BeSt moving in for the kill, it looks like, moving in to sAviOr's main, kind of his front door. And if sAviOr doesn't get a lot of troops out pretty quickly, he's going to be in big trouble. Parasite going off on one of the Dragoons, I guess just so he can know where BeSt's army is. I'm not exactly sure the point of that. But now, burrowing some more lurkers. sAviOr desperately trying to defend against this. He's trying to macro out of all of his hatcheries right now, just trying to get troops out as quickly as possible to deal with this force. His front door is being completely overrun, but never underestimate the amount of macro the Zerg can put out. But I think there's just too many Dragoons here. There's just so many Dragoons. sAviOr really needs to get some Zerglings in play right now, but even if he does, there's just too many Zealots coming in for reinforcements, and there's too many Reavers on the ground to back up those Dragoons, as well as Templar. The shuttle goes in, suicidal shuttle, dying without accomplishing anything, but I think even mistakes like that are not going to lose this game for BeSt at this point. Some Hydralisks running and trying to desperately pick off those Reavers, but in the meantime, they're being completely destroyed by Zealots. And sAviOr's main base going down. There's some Ensnare going off, and that's going to slow down those troops. And that, if there was some Zerglings in play right now or something to actually back up that Ensnare, that might do some good. But really, it's just, not going to accomplish anything in the long term. I mean, it's like having frosting without a cake. While delicious, it's not quite as good as if you have, the cake to go with the support units, if that makes any sense. Just going in with Ensnare, and the Hive goes down. So now sAviOr is not even. Hopefully, he got up some Hive tech at his right-hand base, because he is not going to have an opportunity to get any more tech up now. And if he doesn't have something special coming out here pretty soon, he's going to be gone. He's lost his spawning pool, trying to build another spawning pool. He may have another Hydralisk den somewhere, but I think sAviOr is just prolonging the inevitable at this point. I mean, he's just got so few bases right now, and BeSt is trying to take the bottom right-hand corner as well. sAviOr's trying to take that out desperately with some Hydralisks right now, but Even if he manages to take it out, which I don't think he will, because those Archons coming in are just going to destroy that force of Hydralisks. But even if he did manage to take it out, sAviOr has lost his main base. He's lost his natural expansion. He only has 2 expansions right now. Only 3 well, he only has 3 bases right now, basically. So this is pretty much curtains for sAviOr. So, it looks like the destruction of 2009 will not begin yet. BeSt will manage to take out sAviOr in this first game and of 2009. So, I will destroy everyone okay in 2009. Not quite up and running yet. I mean, it's still, the year is still young. This is just the first game. I just thought that this would be a good indicator of sAviOr. And you know, to be fair, sAviOr showing some really nice micro, some really good play, showing some really good early game play, and catching some good breaks, using some really good strategy, putting info lanes around and that sort of thing. But it just was not enough. GG coming from sAviOr. So BeSt wins. sAviOr not quite destroying everyone yet, but we will see if he can continue and perhaps do some good in the rest of 2009. BeSt is also going to be a force to look for in 2009. He is also going to be one of the top players coming up here in the next part of the season, so he's going to be one to look out for. But I hope you guys enjoy that game, and good luck to sAviOr in his destruction of everyone in 2009. He's going to need it because there are some really strong players playing Starcraft right now. And so he's got some really top contenders that he's going to have to deal with if he's going to really regain his dominance. He definitely has some work ahead of him. But he is improving. He's been doing really well and showed some pretty decent play in that game. So who knows? Anything can happen. But I hope you guys enjoyed that game, and thank you very much for watching. Take care.